introduce himself to you all. Welcome, Robert.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. How are we doing today? Good, good. Sounds like we got a good group this morning. So, as stated, my name is Robert Parsons. For those of you who are already familiar with me, welcome. For those of you who are new to me, I am, among many things, very excited to be here. This is not my first Michigan AER conference, but it is my first time as a presenter. So I'm truly, truly excited, but also 100 times nervous because I've participated with Michigan AER as a vendor in the past. So this is my first time presenting. And welcome to Employability and Empowerment. I think a topic that is very close to my heart. We are starting off here with the title page, so it does have my name as well as some of the ways in which I'm representing myself. So it has my name, Robert Parsons, as well as my standing as a professional in the vision rehabilitation field, as well as the companies and institutions I represent. So Rehabilitation Way LLC, which is my company, as well as Western Michigan University, which is proud Bronco. Go Broncos for the Broncos in the room. I know that Broncos are stepping hard in Michigan AER as we do each year. We also have the WMU logo for those of you who have the digital version of this presentation. You already have that, but there is a WMU logo on the title page of this slide. So that is our first slide, and I welcome you all to Employability and Empowerment. We're going to go ahead and we're going to go to our next slide, and I'm going to kind of give you an introduction to myself as a professional in vision rehabilitation and the field itself. So we're starting into...
Yeah, I was just going to announce the slide disappeared from view.
Oh.
So I don't know if there's like a fault in the projector.
It may be that it timed out. Is that what happened?
No, maybe. Sorry to come out.
Is it because it pressed the space bar? It might have locked because it's not perfect.
There we go.
Okay, are we on the introduction slide?
Yes.
All right, so yeah, it's not plugged in, so that might be what's going on. It times out when it sits too long. So, okay, so introduction. So I'll try to make sure that we keep it lively. All right. So introduction. So just to give you a bit of why am I here or why am I just not a rando? So introduction. So I am, for those of you who are where I am, a CVRT, Certified Visual Rehabilitation Therapist through the Academy for Certification of Visual Rehabilitation and Educational Professionals. I am also a Certified Rehabilitation Counselor from the Commission of Certified Rehabilitation Counseling Certification. I'm also a Certified Vocational Evaluator from that same credentialing body. I'm also a Licensed Professional Counselor from the Michigan Board of Professional Licensing, MBPL, which is also known as LARA. So I do come with a few credentials and a few national certifications under my belt. And all of these credentials and certifications have placed me in a position to work specifically in the employment realm. I do also work in the realm of access technology with clients that have blindness and low vision, but specifically empowering those clients to make sure that they are equipped with the tools and skills that are making them ready for the job market and making them that much more prepared to be successful in that market so that they can go on to be savvy and successful at whatever it is that they are hoping to accomplish in their employment goals. So a lot of my clientele includes vocational rehabilitation clients specifically, and I'm so excited to talk to you all about that. We are going to go ahead and keep on moving along. So I'm going to kind of talk to you all about how I got into this field in the first place. So just to kind of give you a little bit of my professional background, the next title of this slide is my professional background. And this kind of all kicked off with 2016, and that is state rehabilitation instructional experiences. So my start in the vision rehabilitation field really started in 2016. And that was when I started as a residence hall instructor and dorm supervisor at the Virginia Rehab Center for the Blind and Visually Impaired, also known as VRC-BVI. And during that time, I was working specifically with transition age students on job job placement during their summer programs. And that really sparked a fire in me to understand that like I really like helping people with blindness and low vision and helping them find out what their interests are in getting jobs. From that, I decided to go back to college at the associate's degree level because VRCBVI is the place that helped me get my independence back. And as you all can tell, you know, when you kind of get that itch, you want to scratch it. So I continued to scratch and scratch and scratch. I didn't get any like scars, but what I ended up doing was I got excited, and that, you know, those ended up turning into, like our previous speaker said, tattoos. And rather than deface myself, I ended up really creating a really cool kind of sketch. And that sketch turned into a tapestry, which turned into a magnificent mosaic, as one of my friends said, and or used to always tell me about. And that mosaic ended up becoming a career. So some of those experiences included working at the illustrious Mary Free Bed Hospital during my internship experience. I had a dual placement during my internship experience doing rehab counseling and VRT work, where I was placed at Mary Free Bed Hospital as well as the Disability Advocates of Kent County, which is DAC. For those of you who don't know, so those are both in Kent County, the Grand Rapids area. So I was doing work both in access technology over at Mary Free Bed, as well as running employability groups with the Disability Advocates of Kent County. And I did that work for about a year and a half. And then after that, moved over to working with the BSBP Training Center, BSBP TC. And I helped at first with helping them with their, and being employed doing their after hours tech lab help desk, which now I work as a substitute tech instructor with them, and also as a contractor, more in the employability and job development realm. So a lot of my services as a contractor and as a business owner with BSBP includes job development, job placement, job carving, job exploration counseling. And I provide those services to customers and making sure that they are doing the best to access their job and vocational rehabilitation goals. I also provide affective counseling, specifically disability affective counseling services. And that is through both the Focus Mindfulness Center as well as Kalamazoo Family Counseling and Mediation Services. So disability affective counseling specifically is about making sure that people who are just losing vision or are congenitally without vision or losing vision are able to process those feelings, process those emotions, process that experience, and then be able to go on and live fulfilling experiences or lives, whether it is vocational rehabilitation or independent living, et cetera, et cetera. So bridging the gap there and making sure that they are able to continue to choose their path. And that is my professional background. So that is just a little bit about me. And we'll keep on moving along. And just to make sure that I kind of covered all of that info, I do want to add on, I think on the slide we also have the Rehabilitation Way logo up here. Yes.
Let's get you back hard.
Sorry.
We're on your home screen, your slides disappeared, so we gotta,
Oh dear.
whether somebody, I want to do too much on your computer. This is showing a beautiful creative photo. I don't think this is a slide.
For some reason, it keeps going to sleep.
Okay, give me a second. What does it have here?
It's still on home screen.
There should be a setting you can adjust to not let it go to sleep when it's unplugged too. That's all.
Search. Escape. Taskbar. JAWS Professional. JAWS Escape. Search box edit. Type in text. Escape. JAWS Professional. JAWS.
So this is here, right?
Folder view list D. Disability affected D. Dropbox. Enter. W and enter. Shell view S. Spring to enter. Working on an E. MAER 2026. Enter. Shell D. 2000 enter. Opening dash top. Ready. 2026 Employability and Empowerment dash PowerPoint. Employability and Empowerment : Smart Goal Setting as a view. 2026 Employability PowerPoint slideshow dash 2026 Employability and Empowerment. 2026 Employability and Empowerment dash PowerPoint. 2026 MAER 2000 JAWS Professional. JAWS Professional. Alt F5. 2026 PowerPoint slideshow dash 2026 MAER 2020 JAWS Professional. OK button. To activate Alt F4. JAWS Professional. Alt F4. Quit JAWS dialog. Are you sure you want to? Ready. 2000.
Probably just the volume of the computer.
We turned it
That
down.
volume.
We turned it on. It's not on. It only turns on because this keeps turning it on. Yeah. We're gonna turn this off. And I'm just gonna mainly I've heard this. Yeah. Deal. The thing, I think the remote it's not plugging in. The remote supposed to keep crashing. Yeah. Thank you. I don't know, it's not gonna take the remote. Yeah, I was on, yep. Thank you. It's not, it doesn't like to clicker, y'all, I'm sorry. Okay. So we on the play for seconds?
Yes.
Okay, folks. So we left off on professional background stuff. Let's jump into it. Apologies. So let's jump into our topic. So the name of this slide is the employer perspectives of job seekers with blindness and low vision. And I want to talk to you about what's going on inherently right now in the status quo. So this topic specifically centers on a national study that took place in 2018, where job seekers with blindness and low vision were specifically specifically looked at by, where employers were specifically studied on their attitudes towards job seekers with blindness and low vision. So McDonald and Antonelli in 2018 did a study on 343 employers, specifically targeting and looking at the possibility of if there are any explicit and implicit attitudes that are being held on by employers about job seekers, and the way that they complete tasks, and if there are any ways that job seekers are looking at people with blindness and low vision, and the way that they are able to complete tasks. So this was an online survey that was completed. It is titled the IAT BVI, Implicit Attitude Test, Blind Visually Impaired. So for those of you who are rehabilitation professionals, whether you are a VRT, an LVT, low vision therapist, a CRC, certified rehabilitation counselor, or any other professional that is in the blindness low vision field, I want to just make sure that we are aware that we usually use person first language. So we're talking about people with blindness, people with low vision. We're using disability affirmative language. So I don't want us to get caught up with the name of the test, because that was the name of the instrument, blindness vision impairment, but we do use low vision. So that's not me using that term, that's just the name of the instrument. But the instrument itself was titled that. And the goal of that was to test the possibility of explicit and implicit attitudes toward people with blindness and low vision in the way that they complete tasks. These 343 people that were tested are inclusive of hiring managers, anyone that can make a decision, a hiring decision. And to make sure that to make sure that McDonald and Antonelli were able to justify the validity and the generalizability of this instrument, they made sure that they conceptualized or defined what legal blindness was in the instrument. And they also demonstrated what it was that people with blindness and low vision conceptualized task completion and task demonstration was, especially when it came to accommodation, when it came to understanding how tasks were completed, and understanding what activities of daily living were for people with blindness and low vision. So there were tasks that needed to be completed. Employers were able to understand how that could be adapted for a person with blindness and low vision before they were able to complete the survey. So I want to make sure that that was just understood before the survey was completed by the employers. We can go ahead and move to the next slide if we can. Okay. So our next slide is implicit attitudes for people with blindness and low, for employers. Continue. And this is going to kind of give us the results. So we have the results here, and we have a strong negative implicit attitude towards people with blindness that came out of those results. That included a high IAT BVI score. Now, specifically those results included, McDonald and Antonelli concluded that this did not include additional measures. So these results had nothing to do with intersecting measures, nothing to do with other things, concurrent measures like race, whether they had other information like if the person had kids, if the job seekers had other disabilities, anything like that. Purely just off of how a person with blindness and low vision complete tasks, what the definition of legal blindness is, and what the job tasks were. So this was just purely based off of what the employer's understanding of competency was, what their perceived idea of what the competency of a person with blindness and low vision is, and what the job task analysis and job completion perceived was. And from that, the conclusion was that there is a negative sense of competency from these employers, or at least from this sample that was taken, about what competency is when it comes to task completion by this employer group that was selected. So what does this mean? Well, at least from this sample taken, it means that there's some work to do when it comes to employer awareness and understanding of task completion and how it correlates to whether or not they believe people with blindness and low vision have the skills or competency needed to complete tasks or job duties that are being advertised. We can go to the next slide. So what does this mean for the British social landscape? Well, our next title slide says impediments for people with blindness and low vision that are job seekers. And we can start off by talking about the need for cultural awareness and cultural relativism. So the American Counseling Association, in its 2014 Code of Ethics, which is on its way for a new revision, calls for the need of cultural awareness. Awareness culturally can mean many things, but we know that jobs have a culture. Everyone understands what work culture is, am I right, guys?
Mm-hmm.
When you come into a workplace, is there not a work culture?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So anyone that enters into a work system knows that there's a certain way that things go. And the hiring manager knows that there's a way certain things go. And they kind of gatekeep, because that's why they call them gatekeepers. So when a job hiring manager sees a resume or a job application, and even if the person isn't disclosing that they have blindness or low vision, they're already protective of certain things. When we consider that this test or this study defined what legal blindness was and also talked and explained in a very informative way alternative techniques to completing tasks or job duties and understanding what reasonable accommodations are in a way that's supposed to be done in an informative way, we can understand that this may have been, the results of McDonald and Antonelli's study could have been protective, but it also could be detrimental in some ways. The CRCC Code of Ethics in 2023 introduces multicultural relativism and talks about the need for us to be attentive to that. The field of anthropology defines cultural relativism as the understanding that cultures and subcultures are not to be understood to be higher or lower than each other, but to be individualized from each other. Meaning my approach to a certain situation is not to be considered better or inferior to, but to be individual from another. We should be approaching that in workplaces and in work culture, and that an approach should be different or individualized, but not considered less than. And when it comes to CRCC, what we are articulating in the ethics is that when a rehabilitation counselor makes, whether it is a referral for services or doing training themselves, that we are understanding whether we're consulting with an employer or whether we are referring out for a consultation, referring out for services, maybe to a VRT or to a person that's doing training for a customer, that their approach to task completion or to any type of service may be different from another person with blindness and low vision, but never inferior. This is information that perhaps these employees that completed that task, and maybe employers nationwide, have to also understand, so that we can then reverse the implicit attitudes that are going on right now. So that's something to just consider. Why is that important? Well, our next study could probably clarify some of that, because we see this manifest itself with what's going on right now in the status quo. So Roysher, McDonald, and Burton also talk about a study that they conducted, which is a smaller research study about the usability and the accessibility of current job applications. How many of you all have applied for a job right now as a person with blindness or low vision in the room? Anyone? Mm-hmm. Okay, that's cool. There's nothing wrong with that. So these three authors applied for a job just to run a test. They did a study applying for jobs, and they did a study to test the usability and accessibility of job applications. So we're going to go ahead to the next slide.
You know, Robert, I'm so sorry to interrupt. For those of us that are visual, the display is not matching up. I'm okay with it. I just wanted to make that announcement. But if you could maybe repeat some of the names of like the authors.
Okay, we are on the, we should be on the,
It's stuck on the title page.
I don't want to waste your
So
time.
I'm on the correct slides, but it's not moving forward on the screen.
oh,
So that's a tick.
okay.
But that's, I'm okay.
Okay, what slide are we on here?
So we are still on, we are on impediments to employment for people with blind and low vision. And then this is the slide where you were talking about the 30 randomly selected Fortune 500 companies. They just can't, I can see it on my end.
Okay.
They just,
So it's not popping up on the bigger screen?
it's not.
On the big screen, it's stuck on the very first slide.
What?
Yeah.
But I think here, we have access.
Yeah, I have the slideshow right here.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it must be online.
This projector is weird. I'm sorry, y'all. Okay.
The projector thinks it's Monday. It's not your fault.
Not showing up, then it's not, then it's putting jaws live.
Yeah, but we can get access online, so.
Okay, is everyone else having trouble following along with the slideshow? Like, online?
Yeah.
Okay, so,
I'm sorry to interrupt you. You're
yeah.
on a good roll.
I didn't see any hands with anyone having difficulty. I think everyone is pulling it up if they want to from the MAER website right now.
Okay, all right. So, let me just keep up, I'm gonna try my hardest to keep up with y'all, and y'all just ask me questions if y'all need me to go over this, because I'm not sure what to do with the projector if it's not.
Yeah, I can track your tech, but I just wanted you to know it's 10:25, so I don't know how much you had to go. You
Yeah,
may
we got a
keep
little
going
bit-
while I get tech.
Okay, okay.
It's over at 10:45.
Yeah, so,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, y'all.
Finish up.
I'm sorry, y'all. We're gonna get tech in here, and I'm gonna keep going just to keep up with y'all, okay?
Yes.
Is anyone not following along online with the online slides?
No, you're doing an excellent job.
I'm sorry, y'all.
You're solid.
I apologize.
It's the tech, not you.
All right, so we had 3 authors, which is Rashaw, McDonald, and Burton. They did a smaller research study. The smaller research study was testing the Fortune 500 companies and their accessibility using screen readers and low vision tech software. So Fusion, different screen readers. So that included Fusion, JAWS, NVDA, and others, right? And how well those screen readers and low vision magnification software combination platforms work with online job applications, right? So what those 3 researchers did is they tested 30 different job applications, and they mix and match the screen readers that we're using as well as different web browsers to apply. So 90 applications in total, mix and match them, right? And they did 90 applications. So that's what they attempted to do. Now from that, and I'm gonna try to just jump through this next slide, because we are now into the next slide. So next title slide is, the title of that is Impediments to Job Applications Continue. So we ended up getting 500 companies, 90 trials in total. The total was, we got 50 of the 90 were successfully completed. So 50 applications of the 90 attempted were successfully completed. So that is a 55% completion rate. And then 23 of 30 had critical errors that could not be completed. So that's about 73% had critical errors, and they could not be completed. So that's the total when it comes to what happened with the job applications itself. So that kind of gives us some feedback about what's baked into the job application system, and that's pre-employment. That's not talking whether or not we got callbacks. That's not talking whether those researchers actually was able to hear from these employers. So we've got 2 things going on concurrently. We've got employers that hold certain implicit attitudes about people with blindness and low vision before they actually get a chance to talk to these people. And then we've got a system itself that actually has critical errors that are baked into it pre-employment. So accessibility errors for people with blindness and low vision that are using access technology to complete the application itself. So that's just 2 things to kind of think about. With the need from the CRC to say that we have to practice cultural relativism in order to actually get the gains we need for customers with blindness and low vision. So just something for you all to keep in mind. Okay? Our next slide. The next slide title is the RCT lens. Who in here is familiar with the term RCT? I like that silence. Smile a little bit. Okay. RCT. So RCT, for those of you who are not familiar with Western, is it's a term that I'm going to be proud of, and Kelsey might be really proud of. So that is, RCT is, it's an anagram, and it stands for Rehabilitation Counselor Therapist. Counselor-therapist. And I guess I'll be the endangered white rhino in the room to say that I am, so RCT was a program that was in Western, that was a joint program between the Rehabilitation Counseling and VRT departments. But we're going to reconceptualize it in this presentation to really talk about the process in which VRTs and CRCs can come together. Because ideally, ideally, great rehabilitation counselors and VRTs can work together to push back and to really redefine how customers can better achieve their job goals, especially those who are on the vocational rehabilitation track, to get closer to employment. Because with effective goal setting and with effective services, some of the things that we're experiencing in status quo like some of the accessibility challenges and some of the implicit attitudes that are existing. We can't change that stuff, but with some of the things that we put in place, like in services, great consultation, goal setting, great training, we can work together hand in glove to make sure that some of these things are addressed. Also, that our customers are thoroughly informed and that we work together, whether it's through great referrals, service provision, training, assessment, etc., to make sure that our customers have a leg up and that they're on equal footing when they get there. So that when they face these challenges, they're already aware that it exists and that they're able to get to the next step. What does that mean? Well, first of all, we've already defined what an RCT means. It doesn't just mean a person, but it means a process. And second, that we can help them navigate these challenges through it. Furthermore, it's a necessity for rehabilitation professionals to be able to educate employers, whether it's VRTs during the consultation process, like in services like we talked about. Specifically, Dr. Connors, Elise Connors, and Dr. Helen Lee talked about the expansion of the VRT role, specifically after WIOA was passed in 2014. Because with the expansion of the VRT's roles, given the amount of the influx of of vocational rehabilitation clients that we ended up getting, that we're starting to get, and the expansion of pre-ex categories, we are starting to see more people with blindness and low vision come into the workspace, which means that things like assessment and training have new roles, and VRTs are starting to get new responsibilities, like consultants, like employer workplace assessment profiles and things like that. So with those new opportunities to inform work sites and provide assessments there, we have new opportunities to be able to inform those employers and have meetings with those employers about ways that people with blindness and low vision can be in new spaces and perhaps even get work experience or opportunities there. I'm going to just take a quick pause to ask if anyone needs to ask a question so far. Now, how do we bridge that? We talked about the VRT's expanding role, but where does the rehab counselor come into play with this? CRCs have a really, really interesting part in this. First of all, CRC's core curriculum calls for us to take career development as a baseline course. So we come into this already knowing or having to know how to work with clients on career development causes on career development priorities. So if we are not working with clients directly on some of these facts and priorities, we should know how to effectively refer out to a professional that can. So some of that is inherent on us and is a priority on us to be able to help with that, or to be able to look and make informed referrals to a professional that can. Second is that with our career development background, it is incumbent on CRCs to also inform and to educate the public on cultural relativism, the importance of these implicit bias and implicit attitudes that exist in employers, and how we can make sure that egalitarianism and understanding that cultural relativism is important in the employment space, because the more that we educate, the more that we can allow for other professionals like VRTs to come in and then do assessments and be able to come in with customers to be able to do things like work experiences or things like that, and be able to then open the floodgates for more opportunities for the customers to have. So again, the hand-in-glove experience to take shape and for them to get their wings and have their employment take off. So everything doesn't have to be a one and done, but it can be a collaborative experience where we work together to make that happen. So some of these things end up being not one or not the other, but maybe just a collaborative one and two, or both at the same time, or maybe just a kind of switch and go. But this is where both professionals or all professionals or a team of professionals becomes effective. Okay. Excuse me. Let's move forward. I don't think she can. Did we get Tech back yet?
No, she hasn't come back yet.
No problem. No problem. The number piece I just want to add to that is manifesting customer goals. So we're going to just jump on over to our next slide, which is, excuse me, 1 second. So, yeah. So we have, so we're training career development. So next slide is adding goal setting to the agenda. So we talked about defining a goal and defining a career goal, which is something we do. But I want to talk about goal setting. So many rehabilitation counselors know what a SMART goal is. Has anyone heard of a SMART goal before? Yes. Can anyone tell me what a SMART goal is?
It's a goal based off the acronyms.
Go ahead. Your name, sir?
Tyler.
Go ahead.
Specific, measurable, I think it's specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely.
Yes, excellent. Tyler got it right on the nose.
Hey.
So, giving y'all a little bit of background. So, did any of y'all know that the term, the anagram SMART, started in the rehabilitation field? Anybody know that? So our field created that because, not created it, but we really brought that to the top because rehabilitation counselors, we brought that in working with clients that have learning disorders. So the LD community and its rehabilitation counselors kicked that off, right? And Tyler got a specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, timely. We're going to reconceptualize that for vision rehabilitation therapy and vision rehabilitation counseling because our A's, given what the status quo is going through, we're going to move our A to accessible, right, y'all? Because what we got going on right now, accessible job applications, right?
Yep.
So it would make sense that we can set our goals to be maybe accessible because we want our customers to have accessible goals so they can access a job goal, right? So I would imagine that specific, measurable, accessible, realistic, and timely goals could be a goal that they maybe could access, especially if it's a job-related goal. So what we've done here is SMART goal setting for, let's talk about VRT SMART goals. A VRT, if you're getting referred to them for assessment or for training, if it's tech training, if it's training for getting ready to do skills for independent living, activities of daily life, to learn integrity skills, to learn specific skills of cooking, cleaning tasks for being able to get ready for job interviews, for getting ready for taking care of the home, for preparation for learning how to go to a work experience. All of those things are opportunities for goal setting. Whether it's getting prepped to learn how to get yourself together to be able to put in job applications. If you're a CRC or you're a job developer and you're trying to get your client or your customer to set a goal for themselves of how many job applications you're putting in per week, these are opportunities for goal setting. So using it as a vehicle to be able to get to your independence, your vocational independence, these are areas, opportunities. And when you remove that attainable to accessible, it becomes an opportunity to rebut the status quo from this study that we found in 2023 where these applications aren't right now the most accessible. Working with a trainer, whether it's your VRT that you are referred to by your counselor, or working with a rehabilitation counselor themselves, or working with someone, a job developer, etc., access to that information is important. Access to job applications is important. Access to being able to work through the challenges you have to learn tools, effective training techniques, effective ways to be able to know what your local community resources are if you have questions. All of that A in the middle of SMART is the smartest way to get to your goal. So this is where we kind of redefine what SMART is, and then we plug in those SMART goals in different parts of your training to get that much closer to being independent, because at the moment, there is research that says people with blindness and low vision that have structure and have goal setting, whether it's at the pre-ed level, usually keep those goals and keep that structure throughout high school, throughout college, and sometimes are still in that structured mode into employment, and usually keep that steady path and are able to see more successful outcomes versus those who do not. So this is where some of that research actually pulls from. Any questions so far? All right.
Okay. Robert?
Yes.
We have 4 minutes left.
All right. So our last piece of this is going to be a short experiential activity. And we're going to talk about Tom Ado. I know the slide is not up here. But I have a friend named Tom Ado. No pun on the name. Tom Ado is a 35-year-old dad. And he's a dad of 28-year-old girls. He has been losing more vision due to a diagnosis of diabetic retinopathy. And he is seeking services from his state federal vocational rehab agency, state federal rehab agency. Tom has a history of working in the retail industry, and he'd like information on how he can go back to work. Using the professional knowledge you have, work with partners in your group or around you for, hold on, 1 second. What would be applicable state federal services to prefer Tom for, or to inform him to inform him of, and then B, given his prior background in retail, in a group, develop a referral process with a partner or two that y'all can work together on. So during intake, the first question is, what would be some services to inform him of? And then B would be work with a partner to develop a plan. So using the same hand in glove process that we just spoke about, develop a referral process, given what you just heard.
Well, partner, that's all you.
Yeah.
Just in terms of moving the into the
Well, how we doing, folks? So we got about a minute, so we're gonna go ahead and get the feedback real quick if we can. So let's answer question one. Anyone wanna give us what they would inform Tom Ado and his wife Caesar Salad of, and their daughter Anchovy of a service that he could use at intake?
We have one, Robert.
Sure.
See, our small group thought about a low vision evaluation.
Okay, yes, a low vision eval, excellent. Okay, so Kelsey's group thought of a low vision eval at intake, excellent. Kelsey, and did your group have like a referral service to add on to that?
We have a whole plan.
A whole plan. All right, here we go. That's what I'm
I
talking
want you to
about.
just talk through kind of what our thoughts were in answering that part B for you too.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we want to channel him into voc rehab if he has a goal for employment. Low vision eval first, just to determine level of functioning, what recommended devices there may be to his benefit, if there's some adjustment counseling, referral being placed to potentially VRT, O&M.
Yes.
In particular, if there's a specific location that he's interested in working,
Yes.
having maybe a voc rehab counselor be assigned to his case, they can have conversations with the place of employment about potential job shadowing opportunities,
Mhm.
on the job training, kind of like a trial or a
Mhm.
tryout.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those are just some of our initial thoughts. We thought about public transportation services are
Yes.
totally needed.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I kind of added, like, if the state has a state agency that, like Michigan Works, working with the job developer and coordinator in conjunction with the rest of the interdisciplinary team.
Yes, yes, yes. I'm gonna take my niece's favorite cartoon. Love it. Love it. Yes, yes. Excellent. Okay, before we wrap up, does anyone else want to jump in and say what their group did, or anyone have any extra ideas to throw in for Tom?
This is Amy, we just talked about the SBP or MRS kind of like depending on what the acuity is or whatever the condition is at the low vision clinic,
Mhm.
would be specific.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Vacancies referred to wherever state you're in or whatever, they might have different ones. Kind of along the same line.
Agreed. Agreed. Yes. Yeah. I like that you named the agency. Excellent. Thank you, Amy.
You're welcome.
Yes.
Basically getting the baseline assessments to see, where you're starting from, what is interest going to be, what kind of location you might want to get into.
Yeah.
Entrepreneur or working at
Nutrition, advice to maintain his diabetes,
Yes. Yes.
sure that his health is taken care of.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you for adding that. That excellent resource and excellent referral there too. That's because diabetes is a big piece of that, and number one cause of blindness in America right now. So definitely key piece to add in there. That we need to be attentive to that. So thank you. All right, everyone. I'm so grateful for all of you for participating in that experiential activity. I apologize about the tech challenges, but y'all know tech is tech. And I appreciate all of you all for working through my nerves. That's my first MAER presentation.
Yay!
Thank you all. And I thank you all for I thank the MAER board and staff as well for their help with me with this, working through this too. I do have some business cards that's going to be handed out. They are print and braille, so they're going to be handed out as well. If anyone has any questions, they do have my information on there. There is also a QR code if you scan it that takes you to my Psychology Today page. So if any of you have clients that need any services, that does take you to my Psychology Today page, and they can reach me there via phone, email, smoke signal, hula dance. Catch me, okay? Don't run out.
Wait, let's give Robert
Another hand.
Thank you.
And your closing code is Smith. S-M-I-T-H. Again, Smith. S-M-I-T-H. Thank you again.
Thank you, everyone.
Robert, you need bigger business cards for all your credentials.
Those are